Cool in the night, have a good time. That's what I keep on saying till I lose my mind. Feel like a man in a sea breeze, shine like a moon in the night sky. Can you believe it till the end of your life? Oh, we some backs into a room. That's enough for satisfaction. Ready, know how to have fun. No need of explanation. What's it worth of nothing? What's it worth of nothing? Surely that doesn't matter. Storyteller. What's it worth of nothing? What's it worth of nothing? Oh no, it doesn't matter. So we will never lose. That I didn't ever be taller. That she loves some another. Just cause you think you know me, don't try to change my mind. Happiness of seeing a newborn. All future that could be dream of. Everything will be judged by our moral life. Don't waste some labels in the hands. Great papers that I need to go. Don't mind if they make a mistake. Now don't tell them hello. What's the worth of nothing? What's the worth of nothing? Please spread these words forever. Storyteller. What's the worth of nothing? What's the worth of nothing? How can it not matter? The soul we lost one by one. Look around, run around. There's nothing left to smile for. Look around, run around. There's nothing left to cry for. What's the worth of nothing? What's the worth of nothing? Don't ever let it fade out. Storyteller. What's the worth of nothing? What's the worth of nothing? There is no need for sorrow. Great songs will never die.
All right, mic's working. How about you, Manny?
Check.
All right, looks like we're good to go. Howdy, folks. Cody here with IronVerse Comics, doing the first kind of new format of a creator interview. Thank you so much for joining me, Manny.
Yeah, Cody, good to talk to you, man. Long time, no time.
Yeah, it's been a bit, man. We've been in this game together for a good chunk of time. That's long overdue. Long overdue.
It's been a number of years, huh?
Yeah, right?
I think I first saw you like 2017, 18, something like that.
Yeah, just about as long as I was on social media. It didn't take very long. Was definitely scanning for. I love my ground level independent comic folks, and your hustle stood right the hell out for me from the beginning. I love your hustle.
The hustle was real. The hustle is much less active than it was, but but yeah, still hustling. And that ground level vibe actually brought me to you too. The first thing I saw from you was those black and whites, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
I was hooked right away, man.
Right on. Well, you want to tell folks, what you do, who you are, all that fun stuff, and we'll go from there and dive into your campaign.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Manny. I make Crazy Ape Indie Comics, and we have two that we're pushing out right now. One is kind of our long-running series. It's El Krudo. We are on issue 6. Believe it or not, we made 6 issues of these things.
Yes.
That's still kind of amazing just for me to even think about that. But yeah, so we have El Krudo 6 right now is on Kickstarter, and we are also working on a new title. It's called Ape Fights, and that's just kind of like a fun title, like an experimental side project. And we have issue 2 of that's going to be coming out. And so any physical backer of the El Krudo campaign will receive a copy of the 8 Fights 2.
Oh,
So yeah, so that's what we're working on.
killer. So El Crudo is a really unique project. It's got this grit and grime. Again, it always reminds me of. It doesn't go as hard as like a Punisher Max does or such, but it's more on that adult grit, war, drama-y feel. I know you've also gone through, worked with quite a few excellent artists. How many was how many issues was the first artist on?
Yeah, in terms of like style, we definitely it's definitely gritty, but yeah, you're right. It's not like over the top or anything super gnarly.
Yeah.
It's almost, I always describe it as like a like an 80s R movie. That's about the extent of the gnarliness in it. But the in terms of artists, yeah. So Zeros was on the first 3 issues.
That's
So
it.
Zeros did like 100% of 1, 2, and 3. And then we brought a letterer on kind of midway through, and then kind of during like the so like I'd never made a comic before, and during that process, I kind of learned that there's kind of different things that we could do. So we started bringing on different artists and do different things. And so in El Crudo 4, we brought on a bunch of different artists: Nobi, Andres Ponce, Bodhi Shaw. And then for issues 5 and 6, it's been the same core team. It's been Andres Ponce on lines, Nobi on colors. Well, so Andres Ponce, he's a pro. He does a lot of work for like IDW, a couple of other titles you might have seen him on, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the day, Transformers. He's done some big titles, and he's doing some work right now with Valiant and Oni Press. So he's going to be doing some work for like Man-O-War. I saw some Man-O-War stuff.
I saw that as well
recently.
That's
so yeah,
cool.
So he's doing some stuff with Valiant, which is awesome. Super happy for Andres. He's been great to work with. And then Nobi is he's kind of been handling the colors the last 2.5 issues. Great color artist. He's a color artist genius, and he kind of got started out working with this. I'm forgetting the publisher right now, but there was this huge series called God is Dead.
Oh yes, I
where
think
like
I've heard
they had
of
a
that.
bunch of different guest writers with Kieran Gillen, Alan Moore, a bunch of different like artists were doing these little shorts, and it was all about different takes on divinity, and it was always kind of a little bit gnarly too. So he did all the covers. He did like a run of like 30 something covers or whatever. So you've probably seen his work around. I see his work every once in a while in shops and whatnot. So yeah, so Nobi's been a great part of the team, and then on letters is Rick Joseph. Rick Joseph does a lot of letters for the Indie Comics game, and he's been with the El Crudo team for at least 4 issues now, 5 issues, and yeah, it's great to collaborate with Rick. He's got a lot of great ideas, and really great to work with. So yeah, that's our core team, and then we've been working with some different illustrators, bringing in different talent to do some different illustrations for the book, and just putting a book together.
Killer. Well, let's take a look at some of
one
those
piece at a
pages and the images and all that. So let me go on up here. Yep, audio's good there.
Yeah, there's some work out there.
Let's boom. We'll take a look at this page. Let me see. Can I? Oh, I see. No, it's not it. That's the one. Okay, and then we will paste transform real quick. It did not help because it tends to blur the camera when I'm out of it. That is frustrating. So I can't have you on the screen at the same time looking at this. That's disappointing, but
No problem.
it's a lot of trial stuff. So we're looking at the campaign now. El Crudo 6, Sink or Swim. It's the 6th installment in your Crazy Ape indie comic about a U.S. Marine Corps orangutan stuck behind enemy lines during the Vietnam War. $1,200 goal. You are almost at $1,500. This is a successful campaign. Nearly 50 backers and a little under a week to go. Let's go ahead and play this trailer real quick.
Nice cinematic presentation.
Hopefully.
Good, man.
Hopefully. Love the motion comic work on this trailer as well.
Yeah, that's Jordan Kroger.
Oh, okay.
He's done a couple things. He's done like Tiger Kid.
Oh, okay.
I think is yeah, it's the indie comic scene.
Hey, all right. So, killer trailer, by the way, gets you real hyped. Great motion, all of that. It also kind of shows what folks are in for, which is best you can hope for a trailer. One thing I want to say
Right.
about El Crudo and yourself as a creator, but the general project is, and what I've also been really impressed and always has stood out for me is you and this project and the projects you do. You've never been afraid to experiment. Again, what is it? Issue 5 is a super experimental issue compared to the rest. It reminded me because I didn't forget, but I had. There's a drug trip in it that completely changes the feel of the issue, which is just it's a ton of fun. You don't really know what to expect with El Crudo, which I think is to a point, which I think is one of its biggest strengths, in my opinion. I love a creator who doesn't get stuck and comfortable in a rut.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the one of the strengths of the book, but it's so yeah, like definitely if you see, orangutan in Vietnam, I think it generates a lot of ideas of what might actually be of what might be in the book, but what actually ends up on the pages and how the story goes and the different art and all of those different elements is definitely not a straight war book. It's definitely not a straight war book. It's definitely not a straight ape in war book. I don't even know if there's such a thing, but it's definitely not that either. And yeah, there was this one time where somebody else was making throwing around some comic art about an orangutan, a
Uh-huh.
Marine Corps
Uh-huh.
orangutan in Vietnam. And I was like super bummed that they stole my idea, but then I was thinking like, they kind of didn't steal my idea. Like, there's really no way there's really no way that they're gonna make my book. It's definitely unique in that way, and El Crudo 6 is the same, and El Crudo 7 is the same. Like, there's no way anybody's gonna know what's gonna happen, and that's kind of that's the fun for me. It's like, I know that everything that we deliver for people that read it, which I need to work on getting more people to read it, but they're gonna be I think they're gonna appreciate the curveballs that come out.
Oh,
So
I certainly have, and the consistency, right? Not many indie creators get to issue 2, let alone 6. And that particular other book that you're talking about, I remember very well. I never saw a printed issue or anything. It was just a lot of hype and like, oh, this is a funny idea. And I never saw it go
yeah,
anywhere. So,
yeah, for sure.
so there's there's no competition comparatively. We're looking at the
No,
cover
and
right
that's
now.
that's the other thing about the other great part about me
Yes,
and the team is, we execute and we deliver, right? So like,
yes,
I
very
have
much
total
so.
confidence in the team, and we just deliver the book. And I don't think that's as I think that is, a really important part of indie comics. It's actually
It's
making the book and delivering it.
That's how you maintain readers. I have limped across that finish line many, many times, but I limp across it. I get across it. I don't just fall and then start walking the other way like I see a lot of, well, not a lot, but too many other creators. Um, Looking at this
Yeah,
cover, I love the, again, your art team is a great combination. The colors don't overshadow the grimy, very clear line art. The I mean, you're looking at an ape, a gorilla in this case, underwater, punching a hammerhead shark. That's what indie comics are about. That right there. Tooth's broken off too.
that
Look at that.
is.
Punched him so hard it broke off a tooth. You can see the tooth hole. I love it. I love it, and it's just a great, clear, professional team up as well. It's not just two random artists crammed together, which I've also seen quite a few times. Um,
Yeah,
Wonderful cover.
they
Wonderful
complement
cover.
each other. They complement each other greatly. And yeah, that just goes back to like the curveballs, right? You think orangutan in Vietnam, the last thing you think about is a gorilla fighting a hammerhead shark. But there's room for it in El Crudo, right?
Yes.
There's room for it, and we tie it all together, right? I just want to keep pushing boundaries, keep trying different things, and El Crudo is really just like a platform, like because the Vietnam War is so gnarly, it's really just like a backdrop and a platform that we get to do so many different crazy things, and
Well,
that's and yeah, we try to take full advantage of that in the book.
again, that's what indie comics should be about is experimentation and fearlessness. Because if you look at any other kind of medium now, especially anything with any corporate money involved, it is extremely safe. And you can only be served the same grilled cheese for so long before you like a couple jalapenos in there, something different. Um, Looking at a double page
Yeah,
spread
sure.
from the page again, very clear, pretty line art, expressive. The paneling, I love the panel borders in it, in particular, the wonderful vine leaf that's being done. Just wonderful art. Again, folks, you are supporting a very creative and artistically talented team. I can also speak to the writing. It's very very fun. Very strong voice as well. It doesn't sound like anything else, which is again what indie comics should be. I don't want to read another knockoff Superman that's also very very stiff in the writing, which again indie comics is very filled with that in particular, but things also near it that are equally
For sure.
not so fun. Um, Gorilla is maybe losing a hand in this panel, but again,
Um,
the art is just it's stunning, and it's an artistic team that honestly deserves the support so very much. You see a lot again, different types of hustles out there in indie comics. Different types levels of professionalism. This book just oozes the professionalism and the consistency that indie comics needs. Frankly, far more of. You can see some of the lettering here as well, very clear, clean. Doesn't look like you overload the page like some mainstream writers who are very not confident and really want to show up their artist, and so they're covering all the art with needless wording. Action's clear, panel flows gorgeous. Again, look at these backgrounds, folks. It's just a wonderful looking book. Looks like you're almost to the first stretch goal. We just got to there. So that is a free EK trading card, huh?
yeah, we got some trading cards coming. I'm already gonna make them regardless if we hit the stretch goal or not, right? I'm just gonna send them
Ah,
out. Um,
gotcha.
but yeah, in terms of the like the art, like I mean, I have so much confidence in like the art team and the books. And even like the book cover to cover, it's just a great book. The thing that we're lacking is marketing. like like you look at the you look at like what how much this campaign, well, a big part of it's my fault, but you look at this campaign, it's at $1,400 and change. But
Hmm.
yeah, this is a high quality book. It's 44 pages of just beautiful art, cover to cover. It's a great story. I have a lot of confidence in the story, and I haven't always had that. I've always since we've always been kind of experimenting and doing like kind of funky stuff. Like I wasn't sure how it was going to land all the time, but now I think I found that the funkier and gnarlier you get, like people do appreciate it. So um, yeah, I think that this is a great book. I more people need to read it. So,
Yes, I
how do I do
agree.
that? I don't really know. But the book itself is going to be great. And the other part is like, the book's funded, so we're going to make the book regardless. And whenever people find us, the book will be here. I just need to figure out how to get people to find us because it,
Uh,
it deserves it.
that's the big struggle. Honestly, I've had the same struggle. It is really tough to get people to check it out, whether you have free to look at. I mean, you've had elcrudo.com up for a long time, and I believe you can read and start some of El Crudo for free. Am I correct there?
Yeah, I believe so. I think there was one issue where I had to let me check it out. There was one issue where it wasn't scrolling correctly. I think there was an update or something on the software. So I think yeah, I don't think you can read it there today, but you will shortly. I just haven't had time to
Oh,
fix that
that.
issue.
Oh man, I know how that works. Just also, I mean, how many hats as the project manager and then creator and writer and all these other things, campaigner as you're doing right now, uh, just the face. It's so many hats to wear. I can't tell you. I have also had the very similar issues trying to keep things updated.
Yeah, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's I got a DM like I want to say like 2 months ago or something saying, hey, I tried to read your book and it's not working. And then I went on the thing and like I wasn't scrolling, so it's on my list to do. I just hid that tab for now, and then I'm sure I'll fix it up sooner than later.
Well, I brought up your store too, in case anybody wants to just jump into it. It looks like you can get 3, 2, and 1, $4 a piece. If you just want to do that, just try it with issue 1. Otherwise, though, I really say check out this campaign. Be great if they hit the 2K so that you get 8 fights. I was part of 8 Fights 1. In fact, it's right behind me. It was a really fun project to be a part of. It's a fun concept. It's really very unique in how it presents itself to you as a comic book. That's what really sold me on it. And its focus is really cool. I really want to see that number 2 of it. I really, really do.
I haven't sent you a copy of number 2.
No, not so far.
Wow,
I
I
didn't even
thought I
know.
maybe sent you one. Oh yeah, I'll definitely. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, if you're getting, I know that you backed DK6, so I'll
yes.
definitely include an 8x2 in there for you.
Oh, it
But
looks like the printing. Killer, killer.
but yeah, right now I would say that like the Kickstarter is definitely the best way to support us right now. I
Yes.
think a lot of people are on Kickstarter, and I um like after we do the Kickstarter, I'll probably drive people to the site. But I don't know.
Mm, okay.
I don't really know what else. Well, to be perfectly honest, we had some like family things come up
Yeah.
these last 4 weeks, and I haven't been promoting. So I'm kind of here on the last week, just really trying to get this thing going. And so excuse me if I start spamming you in these next next
No,
three
no, no,
days.
no. It deserves the effort, and I'm always happy. I mean, that's one of the pillars of this. Is like I'm just super stoked to meet and interact with amazing comic book creators and share their skills because it is really hard out there, and I can't tell you how many people have supported and done the same for me. So that's just how it works. It's how we survive and get our work read and checked out in indie comics. There's very few
Oh
other
yeah, man.
ways. We're looking at your very killer table spread. Is that you in the ape suit?
Yeah, that's us. In so we do 2 to 4 cons a year. That one I think is that's from Boise. So yeah, we
Okay.
like to have a good time. I definitely
Yeah.
bring the ape suit. I got 2 ape suits. Well, I got 1 ape suit. My buddy brought his other ape suits, and we just kind of had a good time. And uh, yeah, Boise was real receptive to the ape suits. Seattle not so
Killer.
much.
Oh,
Seattle not so much, but Boise was digging it.
huh, interesting. I'm betting it's hot. I'm betting it makes the gig that little bit more tough, but it also makes it that much more
Yeah, we
fun.
take turns. We take turns.
Ah,
It's a couple day thing. So I'll rock it for an hour or two, and then my buddy will throw on his. And I mean, it's
cool.
also kind of fun going to cons and just cruising around. So
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, we have a good time with it, but we're definitely not I don't know, uptight at the cons. It's we try to have fun while we're there.
Oh yeah, that's the
So
big part of it. Being uptight of it. There's no room. It'll drive people away. And anyway, you've got this beautiful spread. Again, this is all the work just put out there, folks, so you can get an idea of what you are getting a hold of and supporting. It's wonderful material. Again, I've seen so many projects that do not hold up to this standard. Very much
yeah,
deserves your
right now
support.
when you put it all together, we're pushing it's something like 270. I think it's like 270 pages, something like that,
Oh
of
wow.
Crazy Ape indie comics. Yeah. So and not a lot of fluff in there. There's not like a lot of wasted pages. So it's 270 pages of just Crazy Ape art. So yeah, having fun.
I again, if you don't do it with a little bit of fun, it gets real rough. I definitely get in those funks because I take my work like a little too seriously, almost all the time. So I'm glad. I'm glad. Um, let's see
Yeah, man.
here. Do we want to check out the tiers as well? Then let's go through
Yeah, we can talk
that.
about that. I got a couple different tiers. What up, Cac man?
Yeah, welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping on in. Let's see here. We've got 8 PDFs for $8. Then again, 200 and change pages. Then is what you're saying, or is that more?
Yeah, yeah, it's more than 250.
Ugh.
So the $8, because all the previous books are kind of paid for, so it's kind of like you get the full digital package for $8. That's El Crudo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, as well as Ape Fights 1 and 2. So yeah, tons of great art there. Um, a lot of great content, a lot of great comic book art,
Oh,
and then
absolutely. A lot of fun.
yeah,
Um,
oh yeah,
I mean, a dollar a piece as well is incredible. I'm always of that. I'm always at war. I want to make sure that my project succeeds and all of that, but at the same time, like I just want people to read it. So I've always had free options, but when it comes to the campaign and stuff, it's important to have the digital options for one because that is a separate audience that does show up. But for two, I mean, you have to find a way to fund and get these things done. And this is the best bang for your buck, both for the backer, but also for you because you didn't have to print any of this. It's done. It goes out. That's my favorite
yeah. I
part
mean,
about
I think
digital.
$8 is a great price, and I want to make sure it's at least accessible to everybody. Like
Yeah,
if anybody wants to check it out, and they want to throw $8 our way, like that's a great option. Want to make sure to always have that option for people.
absolutely. And so if you do want the physical of El Crudo 6, it's $12 and it is 56 pages. That includes Ape Fights 2 for that $12. That is a very competitive price for indie comics. And that again, it's a great deal. It's a great deal, folks. So you get the whole digital bundle as well. Um, you're getting a lot. Stickers
Yeah, 12
and
bucks.
what else
Yeah,
is the
definitely. We
such?
got a little like mini poster, some stickers. Like I think I got a couple magnets that'll be going out. And
Oh,
so, just some like a little common swag bag, but yeah, $12 for, two comics. Um yeah, it's a good deal. And then we're shipping everything in Gemini boxes this year. So we're doing the cardboard.
what? Right
I
on. That
I
that keeps them
historically
relatively
I
safe.
have done the Stay Flat mailers. I've never had one issue, to be perfectly honest.
Neither have I.
But
Neither have I. This.
so this year the shipping is like an extra buck, for shipping.
Mm,
But at least it's coming in a Gemini. It's going to be clean, going to be tight, and I we'll see how it goes. I don't know if that's a barrier. Maybe next year I might have like a Gemini tier and a non-Gemini tier. I'm not exactly sure.
looks like for
What
six.
do you think?
Oh well. So I've always, we crawl across the finish line with Jack every time, and so budget's a little tight. I'm sure every indie comic creators, unless you blew up, and there's a lot of weirdness on those fronts. But so you find where you can that's safe and gets the book there. So I've done Stay Flat mailers pretty much the entire time. What we end up doing is sometimes another piece of cardboard in there. This time
Yeah.
we issue 3, I believe we folded the poster. This one we actually did a larger 11 by 17 envelope that held the poster, and then within that envelope was a nice thick Stay Flat mailer, and so it's just a lot harder for the postman to even want to cram it in a thing. And I think we actually did an extra little piece of cardboard in there too, so they really got to try. And so they got to have a bad day and not actually wanting to be, putting mail out for them to actually go through the effort to bend it. Same with Gemini's, right? But Gemini's are just like it's not even worth the effort to bend.
Right.
But
For sure.
so that's the bit. If you can get them cheap enough, if it's part of your budget, I know that that's like people who consistently back crowdfunders for comics love those. I have hundreds because of how many books I've backed, and it's just if I ever need to ship anything else myself, I'll just reuse them. That's the other bit. If you're shipping to other creators, they're reusable compared to the Stay Flat mailers, depending on how you open them. But within your optional add-ons, you can get Ape Fights #1 just for $4 more. You can get 2 for another 4. You can get 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 each for another $5 for add-ons. You can get a koozie, can koozie for $5. You can get a
Oh
T-shirt for
yeah.
28. Yeah, if you want that badass ape look, you can get on that as well. Very cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we got some stuff. We got some stuff.
Got
So
things. Um,
yeah.
I know you were trying to do a machete last go. Did that actually did that go through if I remember correctly?
No, so like Kickstarter said you can't sell weapons.
Ah,
Like you
that
can't
would do
include
it.
weapons as a reward tier. You can't include weapons or food.
Oh, food,
So
yeah.
I'm just gonna have to sell those on the side. But
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 yeah,
yeah, I was hoping to get a engraved machete for like the top tier, like you know, 200-300 bucks or something. And um, yeah, Kickstarter said no. That was a weird thing. So I kind of shifted directions.
I could see that happening. I could see that. They got to cover their asses. uh, so it looks like you get a better deal with the El Crudo starter pack if you want to get all 6 issues, plus both 8 fights and all the other swag, for 35. What's the shipping on that?
So I think the shipping is about. Well, are you talking about
El
like the
Crudo,
catch up tier?
yeah, I guess that's what is the starter pack. Yes.
Yeah, the starter pack. So that's El Crudo 1 through 6
Yes.
plus the 2 ape fights. So like all of our work, right? So all of our
Yes.
crazy ape indie comics. Shipping on that's like 9-10 bucks, something like that. I think it's like an extra
Okay.
buck or two than the regular just based off of weight,
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
they do like every pound, it's like a cutoff for USPS.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like an extra buck or two, but it's not crazy. Actually,
No,
they
not at
had
all.
a USPS, they had a drop in rates back in July. So when I
Oh,
built this
good.
campaign, it was like in July, and I
Okay.
set all the shipping prices, and then I got an email like a couple weeks later from USPS saying, "Oh, by the way, we dropped our rates."
Well, that's good.
So yeah, rates are actually a little bit less. I want to say it's like 9 bucks or something to ship, 9 or 10 bucks to ship all of those books based off of
A
weight.
dollar
So
a
yeah,
book.
so
That's
not
not
too bad.
bad. No, not at all.
Yeah, not
Definitely
bad.
worth checking out, folks. Ooh, okay. The Crazy Ape edition is the second bout, but you get the T-shirt, the can koozie, and then all the goodies. So it's the T-shirt and the can koozie that is
Yeah, it's
the
like the
go for it.
Yep, a couple extra swag bits. You know, I know some people like collect the not collect the can koozies, but I've made like 3 different versions.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be like the fourth version. So I know there's some people out there with the different koozies, and then the t-shirts. Yeah, I do a t-shirt every campaign. So there's a couple people picking them up, and
Oh, definitely.
I do take a couple of them to the shows and stuff. So I'm gonna make a small batch of 10, 12 shirts or something like that. So
Killer. Well, and also
yeah,
just at the prices and stuff. Again, it goes straight to supporting the team. And the other big thing that you are great at
absolutely,
is the book is ready. It's done. A lot of people,
definitely.
including myself, don't do that. And so backing this, you're getting your book. There's no if ands unless something crazy happens. But if something the scale of which that crazy would have to be is likely enough to disrupt a few other things as well. So
Yeah.
so you're getting your
Yeah,
book.
no, the book's coming, like the book's done. Like I just have to upload it to the printer's website tomorrow. We just kind of did a couple little tightening up bits just this last week. So yeah, the book's done. So if you back the digital tier, like you're 100% getting it. If you back the physical tier, you're 99.999% getting it.
Exactly.
I just got to get the proofs in. I haven't gotten the proofs in yet, but yeah,
Yeah.
we're really piggybacking off of our previous campaigns and using our previous campaigns money to invest in the future books. So like we're always going to stay like one book ahead to make sure that all of our campaigns get filled. Like I'm never going to run a campaign and not fill it. That's just not an option for us.
Well, there you go, and that's wonderful to hear. It's a higher standard, which many more like myself should aspire to. Which is that's how the environment should be, so that you can actually compete with these with some of the other craziness going in comics. If you're supporting an independent creator and you can expect great stuff from it, I mean that's how you build a fan base. I've seen it done many times. So at the EK distributor bundle, you get 4 of every issue and 4 of each of the 8 fights. It's quite a few. So if you're a store or you got a lot of friends who would love some Crazy Ape comics, get on that. The store tiers are always great to have. Looks like you actually got somebody who snagged it. There's only 4 of them, so if you think your friends would really like it, you got the extra bit, you should snag it pretty quick. Not only before the campaign's over, but before they're gone. It's quite a few comics.
there's like two stores that I know that want to support us on here, and so I know that they're gonna pick that up.
Oh,
And then I got like another friend or two where they like to get the bundles, and then they just like hand them out to their buddies. So yeah, I imagine I'll go through a couple of those, but those I basically just make like packs of like I make like 4 packs of all the books, and I'll put them in a big bundle, and then people can kind of pass them out. But yeah, there's like two stores in particular that I put this on just because they want to support us, and they actually sell our books. I got
ah,
some really good feedback that our books are like some of the only indie comic books that sell off the shelf. so,
ah.
so
Yeah,
they're kind of my local guys, and they support us, so
great.
they're super cool.
And now there's the super fan edition, which it looks like the big thing is a metal print. Can you tell us a little bit about that metal print?
Yes, we do metal print editions of every cover.
Oh,
So, they're pretty rad. I don't know if you've seen like those high res metal prints that they use in like, high end photography, high end art. So we do
mm-hmm.
one of those, and it comes with like it's like self mounting, right? So you don't have to like
Uh,
put on a hook or anything, and it's just a metal print with a self mount. I think it's um I think it's like 12 by 10 or something. It's a little bit bigger than normal size.
oh, nice.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so I've been doing a series of those. So like my brother, for example, I know he's got them up in his office, and a couple other people. So we probably move 5 or 6 of those, you know, per issue. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool. It's like super high end. So it's a beautiful kind of lasting piece of art.
Wow, well, killer. I love those. I did
Oh yeah.
little metal, kind of high res, but I think they're a little bit lower end than
Uh
what
huh.
you're talking about. Little trading cards, and that was fun. I love the metal stuff. I've also gone through. I know I've backed. It's a Black Hops graphic novel
Uh huh.
that had a metallic like cover, and those are neat. I've always wanted to look into that for Jack, just thematically. But I love metal and comics. If you couldn't tell by the name of my comic, um, but there's a quiz you could take if El Crudo's for you. Make sure and check that out. Just make sure you're safe. Oh, this is the shirt with the pixel art I saw. Is the shirt you're offering this campaign?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what we're
that's
gonna
fun.
do. I like that pixel
So
art.
do
I
I.
think it's kind of fun. So I think it captures like a little bit of the wild eye nature of El Crudo and just kind of like shooting wildly. So I don't know. I liked it. I figured slap it on a shirt or two, and it's not too offensive, not too crazy or anything.
No, and it's
So yeah, I'm
not
going with
just
that one.
like what I've seen from a lot of creators, which is, oh, here's just a virgin version of the cover on there, and it's just a big square on your chest, which works, and I
Right.
have plenty of those shirts. But I like it better when it's a nice, clean PNG image like this, and it even fits for a shirt. It's very symmetrical, which is nice. I like it. I like it quite
Yeah.
a bit.
It doesn't have like crazy brands on it or anything.
Mhm.
It's just crazy orangutan art. So yeah, I think it's kind of fun and mix it up a little. I got like some logo shirts and some non-logo El Crudo shirts. So this is just one that's like a non-logo. Just you know, I don't know, kind of fun. We're gonna do like pixel art series for the next few comics.
Cool.
Um, like if you notice, like on the back of our books, like the first four. I don't know if you remember, but the first four I did like just some black and white like pencil, like just really
Yes.
minimalist kind of concepts. And then so for these next four, we're gonna do like pixel art. And
Cool.
then for the next four, we're gonna do something else. So just try to like do like thematics on the back cover. Um, and so this is like on the back cover is that pixel art.
Right on it. Also seems to be the can koozie, if I'm looking at it correctly.
Oh yeah.
All right. It looks good.
Yeah,
Looks
and then the
good.
can koozie I threw the logo on just because of I'm trying to match kind of the themes of the other can koozies, and they all
Yeah.
kind of have the logo on it. So
That looks
the
good.
logo on the shirt with the pixel art, it just seemed like a lot. I did like a couple different.
Uh,
I tried to make it work, and it just didn't work.
I
So
get
I
that.
just went with the pixel art.
Well, no, that's smart. I agree. It would be a little too much. All books will be shipped in cardboard mailers, and then a wonderful thank you. And I love that original uh, orangutan skull El Crudo logo. It's so good, so good.
Yeah,
Um, Risks and
that's
challenges
classic.
we already spoke about. It's not much risk at all compared to like 90% of comic book campaigns. Uh,
Yeah,
book's
the
100%
risk is the
done. It's
delay.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. It's mailed. Mine were doing that earlier. Pups are loud. Looks great. Is there anything else you want to share, or chat about? The campaign has 6 days, so it's going to be about 5. Folks see it. I'd love to see you, get all these incredible stretch goals. The book deserves them and more. The mini poster is of the ape punching the shark. Then,
Yeah,
right
yeah.
on.
I'm gonna do the yeah, I'm gonna do the ape punch in the shark.
Is that also
Gotta
going to
do.
be
I mean,
the metal print then? Is it...
yeah, I was gonna do a metal print of that for sure. Nature's classic battle, right? Gorilla versus shark.
Absolutely, it's eternal. Everybody knows that. But oh man, it looks so
Arch
good.
nemesis.
Arch nemesis.
Yeah, man, I
Indeed.
can't wait for you to see it. I can't wait for you to read the book. I'm really interested in what you think.
I want to read it too. 5 was such from a creative standpoint, it's a massive risk to change up the quote unquote formula so hard, but it didn't really. It was very thematic in how it did it, and it spoke to the character quite well. And so I'm excited to see how you dive back in after that. I very much
Oh man.
recommend checking out El Crudo. A gorgeous book. We're looking at the cover again. You can get that as a metal print, which is a 12 by 10 metal print. That is art right there that you can put up on your wall. That's something like why do you have a shark punching or a gorilla punching a shark on your wall? Because it's fucking awesome. That's why. Love it.
Gotta have a gorilla fighting a shark.
Gotta have it. El Crudo is also it's a kind of a relative. I'm gonna say it's a deep character piece. It's a really unique exploration on a military mindset, but in the form of an orangutan, and that is something you will only ever find in independent comics, and only because crazy people like Mr. Manny here are willing to put in the effort, the time, and the blood, sweat, tears to get it to you. And not only get it to you, but get it to you beautifully, and get it to you promptly, and get it to you with a guarantee. And that is it's super important, and it's great. It's just great.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Oh, very
Yeah,
cool.
it's been fun kind of seeing. It's been fun kind of seeing you progress through, over the years, and I think we started right at the same time. So yeah, it's great to catch up with you, man.
Well, same. Pushing
So
through. We've gotten through the domestic shipments of Jack 4. We should hopefully finish international by the end of the year, and after that, we'll see what we're doing on my end. But it's a
yeah, so
hell of a journey.
am I expecting JI4 here in the mail pretty soon, or
It should
that
have hit you.
timeline?
It should have hit you. So I'll if it
Okay.
hasn't hit you here this week, then I will message me.
Yeah,
Because
you're doing
I'm
internationals then?
I'm getting to internationals. It's taking a bit of time. I lost my gig, and the
Yeah, for sure.
campaign didn't fund everything, so it's been fun. But we did
No.
allegedly finish domestic shipping. I got to check with the fulfillment
Oh,
folks.
great.
That's the issue with working with somebody. I don't touch each book. I don't know. So
Oh, really? Yeah.
I've been sending out updates. So here, the next update I'll send up is actually going to be asking for domestic backers to get in contact if they didn't get their books. So it could happen. You never know. Lost the mail. Address change didn't go through. I used an earlier address. There's all these factors that could happen. But nonetheless, they are out the door. And if one didn't make it, I would very much like to know. Because it
No,
has
you
all
probably
been
did.
paid
I
for.
just got to. I just got to check. I got to check my stuff, man. But
Cool.
yeah. So you've been in it for a while. What's one of the craziest things you've seen being in indie comics so long? Like you've been. I remember like 2018. There really wasn't tons of indie comics, at least not in the Twitter space. I mean, maybe there
No.
was, and I just didn't know.
Well, that's
But
part
like
of it
right
too.
now, I think that there's just so many indie comics. I
So
think back then there was much fewer. But like, what's kind of
on
the
that
gnarly stuff you've
point,
seen?
I don't know if it's the gnarliest, but on that point, like during the pandemic, people they had their check come in, right? Their I forgot what it was called. Their support check from the government come in. So a lot of people are like, oh, I can use this for this, right? Whatever. But there was just a lot of people who were like, also things are weird. It's the last chance to get my voice out kind of feeling. I felt that vibe very much.
Mm.
And so the scene just exploded in variety and in the amount of creators, and it got hyper competitive very, very quickly in different spheres. You've got the more conservative right kind of feeling sphere of indie. You've got the left and more feeling that, and you got a lot of people in the middle, most in the middle, just trying to ship things. And so that those dynamics have always been like the gnarliest bit. But in terms of like killer comics, there's a lot of them I got that I haven't read. I've been reading a lot of manga, but I got in
Oh,
Kids and
nice.
Monsters, which is from Adam Lawson of Gifted Rebels, who I worked with on Kill Journal, and he's worked with that book. The line art is by our wonderful Maxi Dallo, who does Jack Irons art. I need to read that. There's a book called Robert, which I worked with that artist, and he does everything on Robert for a print that came with issue number 4. I want to read that. It's a sci-fi western as well. Just a very unique kind of old school cartoon. I love artists that I'm like, well, I can't really tell you what they look like. Like I can't compare it to somebody else. That's always a big one for me. It's like, oh, it's a super unique look. Nobody looks like that. That always just stands
Hmm.
out to me. And so he's one of those. I've got to read his work because I haven't. A lot of artists also, if they're doing all the work, and so I'll call him a cartoonist. A lot of cartoonists at that point, if they're primarily a line artist and that's what they've done most of their time, and then they jump into writing and creating their own books, sometimes the writing isn't all the way there. And I've come across a few indie books like that. That's been disappointing in a way. It's because, oh, I really like
Hmm.
this guy. I like the line art. I like all this. Then I read it and it's not compelling. It's not. It doesn't pull me in. It takes me a long time to get to and read, and that's always disappointing. But it's oh, there's just so much out there. There's something for everybody. And there's a lot of books that really deserve support. And as things continue to get tighter and a little bit more grindy, let's say, it's going to get harder to get those voices heard. And so that's part of why I'm trying to change this format up and dive back in the arena, which I very much stepped out of for a good chunk of time because of how rough things are getting.
Sure.
Um, and even in just dealing with the independent comic space can be cacophonous. There's so much noise, let's just call it. But
Yeah.
it's an incredible time to be an independent creator. There's a lot of risks being taken. There's a lot of amazing art being done. There's a lot of even mainstream creators who are like, yeah, I'm kind of done doing the mainstream thing because it's not doing that. We're putting out amazing books. Um, it's a hell of a time to be an independent creator, and I think there's a lot of opportunity as long as we can keep building readers. And to do that, you've got to do what you're doing, which is be consistent and put out a professional product that people can hook onto and be like, yes, I'm excited for the next one. Uh, and that can be real tough for some folks. But I'm so again, you're punching at issue 6. Not many folks get to again issue 2. A lot of people don't even
Right.
get issue 1 out. Or they do a graphic novel and that takes 4 years, 6 years and doesn't fulfill. In Rob Liefeld's case, I mean, there's a lot of these things that are like, well, I don't really want to do crowdfunding because it's such a gamble. And the more people who are actually professional and reach a customer base and show them that, yeah, not everybody's like that. And if you like our book, we want to get it to you. The better. The better the space will be and the more readers. So I'm happy to continue to support it, and I'm excited for El Crudo 6. I cannot wait to read it. I was talking about independent comics that I open and can't keep me gripped. That's not El Crudo. That's never been El Crudo. I've never needed to force myself through that comic. And it's a fun ride for me. I'm a big Punisher Max fan, and it's got the grime, grit, and military vibe that, if done right, keeps me hooked. Another book that does that for me is Rags from New Age Ninja Corps. It's another military style book with heart and deep characterization and stunning art. And there's never enough, again, professional, talented creators in the space. There's just never.
Yeah. There are, as you mentioned, I think it was right around the pandemic. The volume of books blew up.
Yes.
Absolutely blew up. Like, I remember maybe I don't remember, but I feel like I remember that there was like maybe like 15 or 20 books at a time on any given crowdfunding site.
Yeah.
Maybe 30, and now it's like 100,
Yeah.
200.
Well, that's
Kickstarter has their own like comics section and like
mhm.
their own comics marketing. Um,
Around the
and yeah,
pandemic,
and
the
the,
other
and the
bit
problem,
of it was a lot of actors and musicians stepped into the space as well, who couldn't they couldn't perform. Particularly musicians couldn't go out and
yeah,
perform anymore. So they're like, oh, well, comic book movies make the most money out of almost any entertainment medium except for video games. So of course that's going to
yeah,
work. And a lot of those it really has felt like they're really just attaching a name to a thing, and that's not always my favorite type of creative work. I bought Iron Maiden's book a long ago. This was before the pandemic, and it looked fine. It was back when heavy metal was still kind of alive. Heavy metal's pretty much dead now. But then again, I thought so was Valiant, but they got bought by this other company, and so I'm glad they're actually pushing it again. Again with the wonderful artist on El Crudo 6 is now working on the Valiant reboot, folks, on Man of War. I love Jim Shooter
yeah. It
era
sounds like
Valiant.
Valiant's doing stuff.
So I'm glad they're
Yeah,
trying to come back. Oni Press also went through a huge shakeup. A lot of these smaller, medium-sized independent publishers, they've taken a whack as well as this space has gotten more and more competitive. And one of the ways that people have tried to companies have tried to revitalize is that actor bit. Tom Hardy just announced a book through I forgot what imprint. So there's that kind of noise too, which I hope at its best, my hope is that it brings folks into the comic book space. But a
sure.
lot of the time, it's just like, oh, I love this actor. I just want his book. It was nice to see the guy who did it right, because I saw him do the con thing and the tabling thing, was Keanu Reeves and Berserker. He was wonderful. Or his PR was very good. One or the other or both. He felt like a comic book creator. And he was taking ownership of the book, and it wasn't just like, I'm writing my name here, here's the plot, you write it for me, create it, put it out, and just show my face every once in a while. And so that
Well, I
that
mean,
made it more competitive as well, just that general vibe.
yeah, but I think I got Berserker through through my LCS. I don't even think
Yes.
I got it on on Kickstarter actually.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Dynamite ran that
the
Kickstarter.
celebrities jumping in doesn't really bug me that much. Like I think it's fine. Like if you're following a celebrity and you want to pick up their comic book,
Yes.
or if you're a comic book fan and you want to pick up a celebrity's comic book, I like that's I mean, what can you do, right? That's great. Like
Yeah.
that's
I,
I
I
don't think that's not really troublesome. And the other part about that is you mentioned like you know um Oni Press, Valiant,
yes.
and I think IDW. There's been a couple
Yeah.
people that have dabbled in the crowdfunding space. That
Yep.
also doesn't bother me. It's
Mm,
because what doesn't bother me about it is because they're not being like crazy obnoxious on social media,
yes.
um, and like like trying to use trying to use like that loudness, that trying to be loud on social media, that um
I think they
because
learned
they still have that
because
brand name. They still
yep,
have that brand name, right? So that's
exactly.
fine. But what's hard is for individuals like myself who
Yes.
doesn't want to be loud on social media to also try to get eyes on a crowdfunding, because those two things are like incredibly linked. And I'll
Yes.
contrast that directly with my experience at cons.
Eh,
So when we're at cons and we have our table, our booth stands out.
yes.
Doesn't matter where we're at, our booth stands out. There's first of all, in Artist Alley, there's not a lot of comic books. There's just
Mm,
not. You got people with pins, you got people with little pinups, you got people drawing famous anime scenes, and that's the majority of it. And so there's not a lot of comic books. That's number one. And number two, if there are a lot of comic books, there's nothing like El Crudo, like,
no.
or Eight Fights. Like, we totally stand out. So like I have this great experience at a con where like we sold out, and we literally were just kind of sitting there making fun, having fun. And people really were able to see our work comparatively with the marketplace that was there, and they were like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to, what is that? I want to see what that is. And we sold out like in a day and a half. Contrast that with
Oh,
crowdfunding.
yeah.
Crowdfunding, it's all about who can be the loudest person, who can have the most friends, who can network the most, drive them to a book, and then they move 100 200 books, um issues 1 and 2, right,
Uh,
obviously.
uh,
And that's the type of thing where it's like, I just can't be that loud. Like, I just can't do that social, like, I can't be that active on social media. It's just not pleasant for me.
no,
It's
I,
just hard. It's like emotionally draining. Like,
I,
um
I hate
I
campaign
like I
season.
see, dude, this one time I saw this piece of art. I don't even like, I'm just scrolling, like, I like something, and I got a DM saying, "Hey, why did you like this person's art? They're so and so." I didn't even know. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't check their history or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's like I can't just I just couldn't do it anymore. So I've like kind of been, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been a little bit not as engaged.
Yep.
But then how else do I drive crowdfunding sales, right? If it's not through social media, through networking, through making friends on social media, through all of these other things, because they seem so entwined with small people like myself, without a brand, without that publishing clout. So I don't know, crowdfunding. It seems like it's kind of
All we end up having
pushing me out.
is emotional resonance, and some folks are really good at doing that from one side, and I've always been doing it from the presenting passion and enthusiasm and love for my work. That's how I've driven it, and so I approach every space I'm lucky enough to get on with that, and it works out. From a lot of different spaces I've been very lucky to get on, and some of them, a lot of people would like me being on, and others, same thing, right? But it's quieted down on that front. It's just people are tired of it, and such. It still exists. The culture war
That's good.
marketing is still like the number one tool that small creators reach for, which it's so
Right.
boring. It doesn't matter which size, number one tool they reach for. That's how they find their emotional resonance. Well, support me because I support this idea, not because my work's good. Not because...
Yeah.
So it's that bit is so tiring. I agree 100%. I've been on many live streams where that was, especially when I started out, and I was very much like, oh, I just want to share my passion. I don't care who it is. I don't know what I'm doing. I got burnt out very quickly hearing these same things again and again, and it's been the same things for like 5 years. And so I also got very burnt out on that. And so there's less enthusiasm for me to do that as well. But there's a few places where I know that the stuff I do actually have enthusiasm for, and I do have the ability to express that honestly, uh, that I can do that. And so that's got me through the last two campaigns by the skin of my teeth. But the just general way to get that emotional resonance seems to be the culture war number one, and then the second one is victimhood, which is part of the culture war. But it's rough. It's not fun. It's emotionally draining. It's not making comics. It's marketing, and so
Yeah, it's marketing.
and marketing's dirty. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's an attempt at mind control. Even if it's a gentle one, or you're just trying to get somebody to look at something, it's never not going to be that. It's not going to be non-manipulative. So approaching it from a non-manipulative standpoint it's you're going to be on the back foot from the get-go. And it's rough, but it's easier to live with yourself in my case, and it sounds like yours as well, when you're just like, well, I got this thing to show you and I don't really want to see all this other stuff. um, so yeah, it's
Yeah,
rough and very, very tiring.
yeah. I have found some great stuff. I mean, that is one of the benefits of that social media. It's like, I've been exposed to things that I never even would have ever before, and met people like yourself, and there's a handful of other individuals that I'd consider friends, that yeah, it wouldn't happen if I didn't start this crazy indie comic thing, and put myself out there, and they put their self out there, and it's a mutual exchange. It's great. It's actually really positive. So yeah, I just got to focus on the positive. I think this last year, I've had a lot of different things happening, personally,
Yeah.
to where getting eyeballs in El Crudo wasn't the number one thing, but I definitely think that getting eyeballs in El Crudo is worth it. It's worth my effort. I can make a great comic, but if nobody reads it, who cares? Um, I think I think the art team, first of all, they're amazing. They deserve my effort. Um, that if anything, I got to do more for them because they deserve to see, they deserve they deserve it for me to try to get people to see their work because
Yes,
the work's just awesome.
exactly.
So I got to keep that in mind. But yeah, it's just a grind,
No,
man.
and you can't
Just
burn
a grind.
yourself out on it. Again, after this last campaign, I had so many really also life changes that just burnt me right the hell off on comic
Right.
books. And so I went through a long period of, oh, okay, well, now I at least can get production and fulfillment and all that fun stuff. So that's been in the background, but my promotional efforts and a lot of this kind of networking stuff and all that was off. Like I just barely did any of it. And so what I'm trying to do now, particularly since part of it was my last gig was terribly emotionally draining. I just did not have the energy to also then engage with what we're talking about, that independent comic space. I just didn't have the bandwidth.
Yeah, sure.
But now since I've been off of that, I'm like, okay, well, let's see if I can reboot and try it. So that's rebuilding this. I'm trying to build a space where a vast variety of independent comic creators can enjoy comics together on and talk about it, talk about the processes, learn from each other, all those different things, because I think that's super
Yeah, cool.
valuable. The more that people don't have to repeat the mistakes of other people, the better the space gets. The better the space gets, the more readers will be consistent with it. The more readers are consistent with it, the more sales will be there. It's just it's one of those rising tide things where if you can put it in the right perspective, it could be really, really cool. So I'm trying. We'll see how well it goes. I'm still recharging and burnt out, but doing things like this, I'm very glad to. It's a blessing. There's so many amazing projects and creators and such like yourself that deserve more platforms because again, it is really, really difficult out there.
Well, let's use this platform let's talk about some process stuff.
Yeah,
What I'm
sure.
wondering is like you've done 4 books, right?
Yes.
And you've been involved in, a lot of other books. Like what's
Yes.
still one of those things in terms of actually just making the book that is still a challenge, that you still have to that you don't have it totally dialed because after 4 books you kind of got to process. What's some things that you're still focusing on as a creator?
Yeah, it's different every time. We play a lot by ear every go here, but I always dread dealing with the printer and dealing with fulfillment. Those two things are the
Yeah.
thing I dread the most. The printer is rough; it can be very rough. This last time I dealt with Comics Wellspring, they did okay. Time before that, um, they did right
Yeah, I
by
know who
me
you dealt with. You
eventually.
don't have to mention.
Yeah, they did right by us eventually, and we ended up with a bunch of extra reader copy books, which is great. I mean, they did right. But then the individual who's my contact in there who made sure that they did right by me passed to COVID, so I just didn't want to touch
Oh,
that
really?
spectrum again.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know
very
that.
disappointing. He was a good
I'm sorry
fella,
to hear that.
but the so Wellspring did all right. They shipped the proof right, which was that's the first sign. I would like to have more of a personal relationship in building this. That's another bit that's kind of tough is all these different business relationships that you got to develop, and most of them are going to be
Sure.
impersonal because you're just dealing through a website or what have you.
Yep.
But if the company has their shit dialed together, then usually that's fine, and that's been my experience. I dealt with a lot for print on demand and all of that. Um, that's really rough, and that's after you get over the hump. The campaign part of it is a nightmare. Like that is the hardest.
Yeah.
Particularly when it's like, oh, okay, we're 2/3 for 90% of the campaign, 99% basically, and then the last day, which is again wonderful gift. I it's just the emotional roller coaster again. It's just like
I
um,
can't imagine. Yeah.
yeah, but it's the networking. So I'm a big hermit. I see when I'm not working, I it's just me and my dogs and my cat and my chickens. It's just me and
Yeah.
my animals, and so I'm not super social. Like yeah, the only way I know how to present myself is a very specific like this is how I can interact. I have my rules that allow me to do it, but otherwise like I don't look for it. So it's tough to do that and to go on other people's shows and try all these different things, especially when you're walking into an arena where you know the vibe doesn't actually vibe with you, but you still want to make your argument to that audience because your vibe might go with them, even if the main vibe of the platform doesn't, right? And that does
You know,
work.
I don't know if I've ever seen you on another show. I don't know what else you go on, but I'll have to
Um,
check your history or something.
yeah,
See what you're going on.
I've been on a couple. Most of them do lean more towards that what's now the current counterculture vibe of mainstream, and so that's
Sure.
not loved by everybody, because there's two countercultures, quote unquote, and one of them's a little bit more aligned than the other, but they're both tribes. I mean, just dealing with tribes is so draining. Certain amount of rules, play
Yeah,
by
it's
these
challenging.
rules, listen to this, and it's just
Yeah.
and it's just like, well, that's not why I'm here. But
They're they're idea in academia. They're called ideological trenches.
yep, yep.
You get stuck in an ideological trench, and everything that you hear is funneled through that ideological trench.
Yeah, and they're all tiring for me because those trenches, the main bits, the bits like that I'm there for, they're not even on that battlefield, right? They're not even close to that trench.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a whole different front, and one I honestly think is far more important. But nonetheless, it's that's the bit. I think it's the networking, which
Yeah.
you were talking about. That can be rough. Um, just the wrong person, right? And it can really make things difficult. Um, I've been
Yeah, I mean
lucky.
that's it, right? It's the tough parts are the printing
Yep,
because you never know. You get
yep,
jammed with the printer, that's going to slow your whole roll.
yep.
Uh, you know, networking and getting yourself out there when obviously that's like you know, it depends on the people, but just like, you know, proactively putting yourself out there, like
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, "Hey, but hey, how's it going? My name's so and so, like you should we should connect." It's like I don't know, it just seems a little bit forced, and it almost to me like I'm always afraid that I'm going to offend somebody, like
Mm-hmm.
that I'm like only doing it for my own interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just seems really selfish to try to reach out network for El Crudo. I like even though I should, I just hate doing it. I always feel like I'm trying to be a leech or something, and
A ton of it's
that's like my own
how,
internal
and that's the bit too. A ton of
that's
it's
my own
how.
internal kind of
My bit is,
insecurities.
and you were talking about it. You know, your artists deserve it. Your work deserves it, etc. That's been a lot of my impetus of it. It's like, well, I've got something cool to show them, but also that's how I interact with them beforehand. I don't just go and ask for these things. If I most of the time, if I connect with somebody to later be platformed by them or what have you, um, it's after looking at their work and enjoying their work, supporting their work.
Hmm.
And then we have that common footing where if my work's quality enough and of a similar vibe, or they like me for whatever reason, then it works out. Then it's fine to ask and kind of do that vibe, right? But sometimes it's hard. Like this last campaign, I had people who I knew I could have asked that I just like, I because
Yeah.
it's so draining. It really is, for introverts and a lot of artists and creators. They're not salesmen. You'll see that again and again. And I put out a poll a long time ago. Does a comic creator also have to be a performer? That was my bit because I was just struggling with that. I was like, how much of a performer do you need to be to sell this? And it's like, well, you don't have to, but it's one of the most common and most guaranteed ways towards success is if you can perform to a level that people enjoy. Um, and it's like, well, I can try it.
Yeah,
I can
such a
try it to
weird
my
thing.
limit. Yeah, and it's you got to be a salesman or have a salesman, right? That's why Stan Lee's still probably the number one face of comics, even though he's passed and nothing new there.
Right.
Is because of his ability to perform, even though he stopped doing comics very early in the career, comparatively, and even then it was, Jack was carrying all the creative weight for for most of that time,
Yeah, for sure.
and so and he
Yeah.
Jack also was very honest and could be a performer, but he got in the trenches and just did the work because that's what he wanted to do. Um, and so you have those balances, right?
Yeah, everybody needs a Stanley.
Yep, and that's the bit. And so, like, well, for my project, that's how I can do it, and this is like the ability and ways that I'm comfortable doing it, and how can I strengthen those, and etc. And you just try. The it's somehow worked out for me a couple times, but there's no guarantee to it. Again, like this channel and these live streams don't get very many views, but it's something I enjoy. I enjoy doing the vlogging style content. I do coffee coding comics at least once a week, where I just kind of wake up, have my coffee, and chat about what's going on. And it's just kind of a vlog, and it just documents what I'm doing. If somebody sees it or not, great. And that's my bit too. If nobody reads your comic, why does it matter? Well, for me, it got made. That's why it matters to me. It would be great if
Yeah.
people read it as well, but like just the expression existing and manifesting, either digitally, line art, even just the script, each part of those parts manifesting is part of the magic that keeps me going on it. If people are reading it and enjoying it, then it's just like, yes, it has more to it, but it's enough itself for me. And as that, you know, what I try to tackle in Jack is enough to, that fight is enough for me. That's the
Yeah,
bit.
and I do agree. I mean, it's definitely yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm saying
Yeah.
that yeah, it definitely does. Like actually making the thing that you've thought
Yes.
about and that you've worked on and collaborated and did X, Y, and Z over over a long period of
Yes.
time with a great effort, and then you actually have the thing. Yeah, that's definitely rewarding, and that's definitely the entire objective. And the
And
fact that it exists, that it
me.
started out with an abstract concept or a feeling or a thought,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then we took that and manifested it into the physical world. I don't take that for granted at all.
No.
I guess my point is that I have a lot of really good comics
Mhm.
that I think other people would enjoy,
Yes.
and I think that um, I'm trying to figure out how much effort do I need to put in
Uh-huh.
to to try to get that out, as opposed to them just kind of like sitting here. I I feel like the manifestation part is all about self actualization,
Yeah.
but me getting it out there, and having other people also appreciate it, um, that deserves some effort as well.
And that's the tougher part, because it's a mind bridging a mind. This thing could be the most important thing to you, but like it's just another book to somebody else until they know
Just
about it,
another
right?
book, yeah.
And that's
One,
the
and
bit.
that's the other point. That's what I was mentioning earlier. It's like one of like you know
Yes.
1,000 that are right now on any given
It,
crowdfunding platform.
and comic book readers have not grown much. I think the sequential art readers have grown from web comics and manga and manhwa and all these different flavors. I think that readership base, the number of readers has grown, but they expect a very different type of sequential art manifestation than indie comics can provide. Some people try to bridge that gap and do a half and half, and they find I haven't found like a significant success. Nothing massive, but it does happen. But
Mm.
it's a different game. It's a different game, and it's one honestly most Western creators couldn't compete at, just because our system and our lives aren't built the same way, um, to be able to adhere and compete at that level. But it's there was a Miyamoto Musashi quote. You must understand there is no one way up this mountain. Um, everybody's journey is going to be different. Everybody's effort's going to be different, and it's all you can do is try, figure it out, try to do better. It's not like almost anything in life, right?
Yeah, and when I think about, I mean, when I think about, well, let me ask you, do you know if like a lot of international creators, like whether or not they're European or Asian, do you know if they use like American crowdfunding platforms, or um, do you happen to have any insight into sort of how does that independent scene,
So
how does that independent scene manifest over
go
in
as it called
those different markets?
dojinshi, or God, I can picture the word in my mind and how it's spelled, but pronouncing it's terrible. It's a very
Hmm.
specific. It's basically fan comics, and that's how a lot of mangaka break in. Is you like this thing, you practice
Hmm.
it, and then you go to. They have the biggest independent sequential art convention in the world is in Japan,
Hmm.
and that's where there will be studio execs looking at work and looking for that. They also run contests where you're judged by. They have a system of mentorship. which we don't have in independent comics. We're on our own. But they have built in, and I mean, it's most trades in a lot of Eastern cultures. They have mentorship built in, right? Like because of how hard tradition is built in. Where here we're a little bit more free and figure it out. Europe, I haven't seen, and again with Japan too, I don't see them utilizing crowdfunding so much. They throw it up on not European so much, but with Japanese and South Korean and stuff, they throw it up on webtoons. They're far more into the digital game for that kind of bit.
Yeah.
But for physical stuff, they still do have the largest independent comic convention on the planet. But European, I don't know. I know they have a lot more smaller prestige format publishers in Europe. France in particular has a booming independent comic scene, and Britain has always really tried very hard to. I know 2000 AD's goal right now is they're buying up British artists' comic pages, and they're trying to make an archive of them because the British comic scene is really dying. With heavy metal, 2000 AD. There's another one I'm forgetting, but it's a little bit rougher. I think the comic book medium has become such a hardcore IP farm where the things that farm the IPs don't really want that many IPs. So you've got all this competition, and it doesn't tend to make any headway because they're not taking risks. I don't see that too much. I know some use Indiegogo, some do use Kickstarter, particularly on the European end. I have come across that. But I don't think I've come across Japanese creators. But maybe that's because it's a different site, right? Sometimes the localization.
Yeah, it might be a different site. I've just never seen it.
Yep, same.
And as you mentioned, they might have a totally different process. I'm not exactly sure. So I was just kind of curious because I know that the actual like cultural phenomenon of comics is pretty robust.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to think of like, how would somebody, in our ilk of, has an idea, is working on it and pushing it out, how would they do that other than through a mainstream publisher?
So the one I've seen,
I don't know if you knew of any sites or anything I could check out, but
no, the one path I've seen to break into international basically and to maintain a fan base, one is what you're doing. They have the books complete already, they're ready to go, and they just run I think it's every quarter they run a crowdfunder for a 64-page graphic novel, which is a volume of their work. It's called Common America, but the imprint is called Iconic Comics. Sure. And so they don't do the streaming gigs much into that there. Now they started doing that, and likes to get forgotten. That was the spark, let's say, that gave them a footing. But they stopped that very quickly after it got real ugly. And they just put their nose to the grindstone and did consistent books. And then over time, they started doing a webtoon as well. They started particularly marketing to Japanese audiences with that webtoon. So now they have a very robust, very dedicated Japanese fan base as well that helps support their work. So I do know that there are fan bases internationally that will back American Kickstarters and such. Again, Indiegogo, same thing. I've had all over the world folks back our campaigns. But to actually build that is consistency. And so they have a weekly webtoon. So every week you can check in, and it keeps people engaged with the IP. Not everybody can do that. This is a partnership that those two folks are engaged in that allows that to do that between an artist and that, and they both are taking that risk. Not every partnership can do that. It just doesn't work that way. Some people don't have that time, right? So it's that's the one case that I can like point to that has been consistently growing and been solid and went international. But I haven't seen, I am not aware of anything international that has done that either. I mean, the OG over here who's really good at it, consistent, and does campaign after campaign is Coffin Comics. Brian Polito is his name, right?
Yeah, Brian Polito.
Yeah, he's
Lady
incredible
Death
at it. Yep, Lady Death, Satana, I think is another one. He does the Bad Girls, right, which is a very American comic kind of deal. And that's the other one too, is a lot of this, and Common America is one of them, is sexiness sells, right? And neither of our books go for that. And so that's
No,
that's one either.
I've done a couple like joke posts where I'll put like 18 or over on El Crudo's chest or whatever, just
Uh,
to try to just to try to get eyes. It's like, yeah, I checked with the marketing team. We decided to put tits on El Crudo. So look for tits in El Crudo 6. It's coming.
yeah, and
Yeah, I know.
it's
Yeah, there's
so
there's a lot of things like that where it's like, well, from a marketing perspective, like we didn't make the best decisions, but from a story comic book decision, I like the stuff that we did. But
same. And so
yeah,
that's the bit, right? It's always contrasting how much you're willing to sell your creative vision out for success, and that's I'm sure. And sometimes part of your creative vision is that selling out. I'm not gonna not gonna deny that. Some people just
yeah,
love doing that. That's the thing. For me, it wouldn't be fulfilling for me, and I wouldn't. It would take away from what I'm trying to do. And so it's still, I've done the sexy prints because I have a wonderful friend, illustrator Monk, who does a great set of it, and I was talked into doing them, but it's still not like part of what I'm trying to do. It's just a nice little bit there that might attract an eye or two here and there. It's just it's a tough game. It's a tough game, and there's no one way up that mountain. And I've seen many who everybody's always going up it. Nobody's at the top of it, but it's I don't know. It's a grind. It's going to get tiring, and I don't think that ever changes, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, hopefully you see progress through it, and that's where you get your second wins, right?
yeah. I mean, I see progress in the quality of the books. Like,
Yes.
for me, like it's the art, right? It's the art, it's the storytelling, it's the whole package of the actual book itself. So like when you get EK6, like you'll recognize very quickly that there's no like square inch that's not deliberate. Like the whole thing. It's 44 pages, and you can tell that we were very, very specific on what we did. There's a couple things. I'm looking at the print file. I was looking at it this morning, and I'm like, I wish I could change that font or this font.
Oh,
Small
there's
things. I'm
all
like, I forgot that line. Forgot that. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm always gonna find that.
There's always
But like,
imperfections, always.
yeah. But in terms of artistically, like I have no regrets of and nothing but excitement to get this book out.
Well,
But that's the
excellent.
thing. It's like, okay, now that we have this book, it's like, okay, well, now how do I get this book out? How do I kind of cut through the noise and um because it's good, it's good. It's good. I'm proud of the work. I think it's going to resonate with people that like El Crudo. I hope. I mean, if not, I can already guess some of the criticisms, but um, yeah, it's a good book, man. It's a good book. So I feel really good about that. And like when you say like, that's what keeps me going, or like what that has to keep you going. It's the quality of the work.
Yep.
Like I just know that we're doing quality work, and I've gotten other crowdfunding books that had some hype, and I've seen like what other people are doing, and I've read it, and I still feel good about what we're producing um, and what we're making, and yeah, art. Like I look at our book and it's art. Like it's art from beginning to end. It's nothing else. So really happy with it.
And those are the kind of books I want to see out there. I did ask chat if they have any questions. If they don't, we'll wrap up here soon. But um, again, the artistry standpoint from it, it's not oh, I can't even think of the word. It's not slop. I see a lot of folks who see, particularly now. I think it's during the pandemic is where I saw it a lot. But you'll always see it too. And people see it as a get rich quick scheme. They'll see somebody's book. It's like, oh, I can do that. If they actually get the book out and stuff, great. You could do it then, right? But even then, their practice, their artistry, their talent, whatever, may not actually be there. And that again, I spoke about it earlier. There's always a small disappointment when I've been hyped for something and it looks good and I support it, appreciate the creator, all of that. And I get it, and it's a subpar product from a like experimental standpoint, from an experiential standpoint. Um,
Yeah.
and I can certainly speak to El Crudo. It's not one of those. It is indeed art, as you were saying.
Yeah, and that's what there's there's just a lot going on out there. There's so many books out there. I think the quality of our books are like hidden behind, at least from an online perspective, the quality of El Crudo is hidden behind my lackluster social media presence, um, my my poor marketing skills, and my poor my poor following of crowdfunding campaign success secrets.
Oh,
Like if you look at those
secrets.
like websites, or everybody's got to recommend, anybody that's made X plus 10 plus Kickstarter campaigns that are successful, they got a blog that says, "Oh, this is what you do to be successful." Like I read like 12 of those things, I do like one. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all of the things on there, like I'm not gonna do that. It's like I'm not doing
Well,
that.
we only have so
So
much time, and that's the big thing too, right? Like it's I've done a lot of
yeah,
the same thing. Well, a lot of the tips they say, I'm just like, oh, that does not sound enjoyable. Like I'll do that. It's like, okay, well, you got to do this and this and this, and then for the
well, I mean, but that's what they want to
if it
do, right? That's
works,
what they're doing.
yep, no, and if it works
They're
for them,
trying
great.
to have a successful crowdfunding campaign. I'm not trying to have a successful crowdfunding campaign. I'm trying to make an awesome book.
Yes.
I'm trying to make an awesome book, and I'm trying to get it out to as many people as possible. Now, unfortunately, a part of that has to do with that second part is the trouble part. But dude, just put me in a gymnasium somewhere in an artist alley, and give me some books, and like I can do that. I can do that. I can talk to people. I can hand them the books. I can talk to them about the books. Be like, yeah, this is what we're doing. But in terms of me, like reaching out to other creators to try to piggyback off of X, Y, and Z, or there's just some other things that are just like I don't know. I just
It's
it's just
tough.
not.
It's tough.
It's just a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, jumping through those hoops is no fun, and particularly when it's just like, well,
Yeah.
that hoop might not even be there. Um, and so I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. I would love to. I'm hoping someday soon I get to con because I think I'd also do very well with that. Because again, it's that personal,
Yeah. What's the
emotional
closest
connection.
con to you? You're out in like New Mexico, right? You're out in the
Yeah,
back coast of New Mexico.
Albuquerque, I think. They used to have a Santa Fe one, but I
Yeah.
don't think they're doing that anymore. And then there's a couple up in Colorado, which I'm not sure which ones. But yeah, those are that. But it's the finances, the travel,
Sure.
and I'd be doing it by myself, which is all of those things is tough. Um, Getting the animals
Yeah,
taken
it's
care
brutal.
of, all those fun things. So that's been part of it. But it'll happen. There's no question. I'm not getting out of this game anytime soon. Circumstances always change. Eventually, they'll change for the better, and we'll see. But that's one experience I do really regret not having yet, because very much like then the other one is not having Jack in shops. Those two things bug me. I think passive awareness is the other one, and as you said, El Crudo flies off the shelf because it looks unique and it's good.
Definitely does.
I dare say I think Jack would do the same. And so
Yeah, I think
it's
no. I mean, your covers are solid. Like your covers, I think they would do really well. I really do.
I
Because that's what like the comic book store is all about, is the cover. I
yep,
think it would do really well.
yep, and nothing looks like it.
So
That's the
there
big
is a
one.
con in Albuquerque 2024. Do you know if they're still accepting artist alley submissions? I don't know. We'll
They
check.
probably are.
But yeah.
Yeah, but no, that would be.
Have you ever been to a con as like just to check it
I
out?
went to Santa Fe Comic Con back in like 2016 or something. It was fun.
Uh-huh.
It was fun.
Like to
Oh
check the
God,
scene.
what was his name? Ron Lim was there. That was cool.
Oh, cool.
Trying to think of what other comic guys were there. It wasn't with a lot of comic cons. It of course wasn't focused on the comics, right? There were some indie guys
Yeah.
in there as
Not a lot of
well.
comics.
Yeah, it was mainly like, oh, you're coming to go see this guy from Power Rangers or from Star Trek or what have you, right? Which is helpful. It gets people in there that you can then hopefully get some attention from. Hopefully, depending on like how it's built, right? A lot of people selling prints, T-shirts, swords, random
Yeah,
shit like
tons of that.
that.
Yeah.
Merch, a lot of
Dude,
Pokemon shit. My God.
last year at Seattle, like Chris Claremont had a
Mm,
table like I don't know, like maybe 20 yards from me, And I'd see him every morning, like, because we'd all set up. So like one morning I went over to him, I'm like, dude, like, love your X-Men, like blah blah blah. I had him sign an X-Men, and then I gave him an EK.
Uh
I gave him EK5,
huh. Nice.
and I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to share, with what you're doing. I said, you inspired a whole generation
Yes.
of people, like myself included. I used to read your stuff when I was a kid, so I just wanted to let you know, like, I'm making comics now, partly because of your influence, and this is what I'm doing. I just wanted to share it with you. And so he's like thumbing through EK5, and he gets to the bloody page,
Uh-huh.
like, because every book that I have, I have to have like one, like, gnarly page, like super, what's it, hyper violence.
Yeah.
And he looks at it, he kind of looked at me, he's like, I'm like, yeah, but it's just one page. He's like, okay, you get one page. And so I was talking to him, and I had him sign an X-Men book, and he's looking at it, and I see him, he's looking at the cover, and he's like measuring Wolverine's claws versus Wolverine's forearms.
Uh-huh.
And I forget who the cover artist was. Man, I gotta look it up. But he's like, yeah, that guy never got the proportions right. Because the claws were longer than the forearms.
Oh yeah, so it would never go in. Yep, exactly.
Never go in. I'm like, damn, Chris, like, you're gnarly, like, you're.
That's the fun of comics. They don't have to, Chris. They don't have to.
Yeah.
Look at a Sam Keith
like
cover.
8:40. It's at 8:45 on like a Saturday morning before
Yeah.
con. I just caught him off guard. But
No, totally.
yeah, no, cons are cool. So yeah, I'll check out that Santa Fe one. Maybe see if it's worth my trip, dude. Because last time I flew into, so like, because I live up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
So I go to Seattle and I go to Rose City. Those are like my two local cons.
Okay.
So Seattle and then Portland. And like, honestly, I don't do great in those. And so like Boise's like the next one over.
Oh, okay.
Like Boise's like a little bit further, right? It's because it's in Idaho, obviously. Obviously it's in Idaho.
Yeah.
And so we went to Boise, bro, and we crushed, absolutely crushed in Boise, because it's just a different crowd.
Yep.
It's a different crowd than the Seattle and Portland crowd. And they just were digging EK. Everybody was digging EK. So I'm thinking like New Mexico, Colorado, they might be good towns for EK. They might be good towns for
They
EK.
could
Might
be
worth the trip.
Southwest
Could be worth the trip.
in general, but New Mexico, like, oh man, especially in my area, but Santa Fe in particular, if they still hold one, super artist town. They love independent artists. Like that's a huge thing.
Right.
And of course it's smaller, so there's not that much variety either. So something unique, something different, something more mainstream.
But the table prices are probably way cheaper, because the table prices in like Seattle was like $450 for the table.
Oof.
The table price for Boise was like 90.
Oh shit.
I'm like, okay, 90. Let's say I average, $5 a book. I'm like, yeah, I can sell 20 books. Let's do it. Like, I can sell 20 books plus gas, like, no problem. So yeah, I don't know. Santa Fe might be a good town. And yeah, we blew it out of the water. We did great. So it was actually like somewhat worth our time to do it. But yeah.
No, that's the best.
I hope you make that happen, because it's an investment, but dude, you might actually come out in the green,
Yeah, you never know. You never know. And the other bit that and you're talking about, you met Chris Claremont, got to chat and share that love. There's always opportunities for fun networking as well. And again, that in-person vibe I can handle so much better than the one that we're dealing with right now. It's significantly.
Oh, yeah.
It's night and day. It's not a facsimile. It's like you're there, they're there. That's the bit. So looks like we actually picked up a few chatters. So we'll check out the campaign again, and if anybody has any questions for the wonderful Manny or myself, please go ahead and put those in there. Otherwise, we'll check out the campaign again real quick.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Appreciate you being here and allowing me to guinea pig this new setup on you.
Yeah, I hope it's working out for you.
It's working.
A little bit of granularity issues, but it looked like it's all cleared up.
Yeah, and there's some other wonky things that I could only find out by testing. Again, like you disappearing when
Problem.
I'm off your window, off a Discord window, things like that. That I'm like, there's probably a way around that. But that's how you find out. Is you find out by doing. So El Crudo 6, Sink or Swim. It is number 6 of a wonderful, very unique adult. Yeah, it's adult. I don't even think we could say
Yeah, it's
late
adult.
teens. It's an adult book, very grimy, war torn kind of feel. It evolves significantly throughout the issues in quite a few different ways. It's creative. It is unshackled, is what I'd call it. It's not chained to any one direction. It's exactly what, again, as I said this when we first looked at it, exactly what indie comics should be, in my opinion. So we'll go through it again. I'll show some art. We'll check out the tiers. So here's the cover. A very killer cover. They always have good covers for El Crudo. And I don't know. You want to pitch the book again?
Yeah, so El Crudo 6, Sink or Swim. This is our 6th book. We have 6 El Crudos out there, which is just amazing. I every time I say that, it's like I had no idea we'd make it this far. So yeah, it picks up right up where EK5 left off, which is essentially, an orangutan stuck behind enemy lines in Vietnam. Um, there's a lot of crazy things that are happening around him, and EK6 is no less crazy than any of the other books if you're familiar. And if you're not familiar, I kind of say it's a mix between like Apocalypse Now, a little bit of RoboCop, and then a splash of Predator in there. So that's kind of the vibes we're going for. Is just 80s action, 80s humor, a little bit of dark humor, but nothing too violent, nothing too crazy. And yeah, so if you're not familiar with EK, we do have a catch up tier at $35 where you can get all 6 of our El Crudo books, and you can get 2 of our Ape Fight books, which is our other title. And it's 270 pages worth of art, $35. I think it's $9 for shipping. It's a great deal. So if Crazy Ape Indie Comics sounds interesting to you at all, I mean, we have the best that's out there. It's high quality books. This has been a learning experience for our team, and we're getting better and better. And the books are crazy high quality, really really fun, really interesting books. We get great reviews. We've often been awarded the best indie comic featuring an orangutan in the Vietnam War. Year after year, we get that award from many prestigious bodies. So yeah, it's the best Crazy Ape indie comics have to offer, and we're stoked to get it out to people. So check out our campaign if you know it. If you're not into it, but you know people that might like a Crazy Ape book and wants to support some fun, wild adventures in Crazy Ape Indie Comics Vietnam. This is the book you got to get.
Some great and extreme talents, very, very professional. It's one of the most professional independent comic series you'll come across. We were talking
Yep,
about
definitely.
how glutted and just filled with creatives the independent comic scene is, and there are many, many, many unsung talents in indie comics. I'm not going to undersell that. There are some extreme talents that do not get their just due, but these fellas not only don't get their just due, but they keep producing. That's the big one. They do amazing work. The book is done. The artwork, as you're seeing as I'm scrolling
Book
through,
is done.
is extremely professional. In fact, the artist right now is working for Valiant on their on another reboot for Valiant, but good on him. Um, I can't sing the praises of this enough. It's a lot of
Yeah,
fun. If you want an
there's
adult war
very
comic,
there's
it's,
very very in terms of quality there's very very few indie comics that are at like this quality in terms of like cover to cover.
yes.
Just it's just a tight book. It's just really really clean, really really well put together, and we're super proud of it. Can't wait to share it with people. So yeah, thanks for that, Cody.
Oh, absolutely. So, unless there's any questions in chat, we will start wrapping up. They are successful, also, by the way, so you don't have to worry if you back that, oh no, it might not go. No, 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 no. At this point, you are just making sure that they can keep creating, which is the best position to be in as an independent comic creator. 6 days left, probably about 5-ish, a little over 5. I'm not sure how they count that with hours, if they route it up or down, but almost 1,500. They have a few stretch goals. Looks like one of them might actually just be a gimme, which is incredible. But I love to see it get enough that these folks not only can continue to create, which it sounds like is a guarantee anyway, but can do it comfortably. That's the part. I've always struggled with that, and I hate seeing wonderful creative talents feeling the same, where success is just another fight. It shouldn't be that way. It should be success is success, and you just get to keep on doing it. And honestly, only you wonderful folks who see this and anybody else who shares it, do all those fun things, you're the only ones who can make it happen. I can blabber on this thing, I can make this whole presentation, I can do all these things, but if you don't engage, it doesn't change a damn thing. I can tell you, I've backed this book. I've backed every El Crudo, and I have not once been disappointed. If you like your adult comics, if you want to see something you can't see anywhere else, this is your kind of book, and that's what I want from indie comics. And so thank you, folks, for anybody who's seeing this supports indie comics.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for everybody's support. I know you've been a big supporter, Cody, like since day one. So thanks so much for all that you do, not just for El Crudo, but for indie comics. And yeah, I know that our our books funded, but we can only continue to make books as as people support our books.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, if anything sounds interesting, check it out, and we'll make sure to get you some crazy books, and guarantee you're gonna love it.
Link is in chat. If you get this far, I'll also put it in the description. Thank you so much for your time, Manny. Great catching up. Always good to see you. And if you want in on a later creator roundtable, I will let you know. I'm going to be doing those either bi-weekly or monthly. 4 steps and just an overall topic. We'll go for about an hour and a half maybe, and just chat about that. Keep it to the comics, all that fun stuff. Share experiences, and hopefully create something a little bit more positive out of independent comic live streaming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll certainly
Let's
let
do
you
it.
know.
I'll make sure if I ever am. Yeah, let me know. I'll make sure to just bring the positivity. I'll keep all the I'll keep it positive, man. Guaranteed.
Oh well, that's not a biggie. Again, we could have something that's like, oh, what's your struggles with independent comics, and that's fine. It's mainly more on point than positive. So
You know what I mean.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, no.
You know what I mean.
Well, your book's dumb because of this. No, I don't want none of that. I'll mute and kick them at that point. That's why I'm doing it through how I'm doing it. I want it to be my house. I was sick of being on other folks' houses. Then I'm just like, oh God, how much more do I have to just bite my lip? So anyway, I'll catch you folks again next time. I think next week's the first creator roundtable. It'll be about this time, Saturday as well. So I'll be here then. Next week I should be doing another Cody Coffee and Comics. I never know what day though. It's usually Tuesday or Wednesday in the morning. So make sure you subscribe, all that fun stuff if you want to join me for that. And thank you folks so much for watching. Vaya con Dios, mi amigos. And I will catch you later on down the line.
Órale, pues.